בוקר טוב לכולם. נמצא איתנו היום אורח מיוחד, מתיאס קורמן, מזכ"ל הארגון לשיתוף פעולה ולפיתוח כלכלי, ה-OECD. כלכלת ישראל חזקה. גם בשנה של 2 גלי קורונה, אנחנו בצמיחה יוצאת מן הכלל של כמעט 7%, בגלל ההתעקשות של כולנו לשמור על המשק פתוח. המדיניות הזאת של ישראל פתוחה, הצמיחה הגבוהה, מאפשרת לנו את העלאת שכר החיילים שעשינו, מאפשרת לנו לדאוג לקשישים, להקל על משפחות עובדות באמצעות הפחתת מיסים. זה החוזה ההוגן. ישראלים שיוצאים לעבודה יישארו עם יותר הכנסה פנויה בסוף החודש. כן, אנחנו פחות ניקח מהם מיסים. הפחתת מיסים היא דבר חשוב שתפנה עוד הכנסה לצריכה, אבל במקביל המחירים בישראל חייבים לרדת. במשך עשרות שנים הכלכלה הישראלית סובלת ממעכבי תחרות, כל מיני פטנטים שנועדו להגן על קבוצות לחץ מסוימות ולמנוע תחרות בריאה שתקל על יוקר המחיה של רוב הציבור. המטרה שלנו, שרי הממשלה, היא לפתוח. זה לוקח זמן, שכנוע ומציאת פתרונות, אבל רוב הציבור מצפה שנעשה את זה, נותן לנו רוח גבית ומצפה לראות תוצאות. אנחנו לא יודעים מה יהיו ההתפתחויות בימים הקרובים בין רוסיה לאוקראינה. כמו כל העולם, אנחנו מקווים שהמתיחות תסתיים ללא הסלמה. אבל חובתנו הראשונה היא לדאוג לאזרחים שלנו, האזרחים הישראלים. לכן במהלך השבת, שר החוץ ואני והצוותים שלנו דאגנו להגביר מאוד את קצב הטיסות לישראל, ואני קורא פה שוב לישראלים באוקראינה. שובו הביתה, אל תיקחו סיכון מיותר. אל תחכו למצב שבו אתם מאוד תרצו לחזור וזה כבר יהיה בלתי אפשרי. גלו אחריות לחייכם, צאו מאוקראינה במהירות האפשרית ובואו הביתה. תודה רבה. Good morning. On behalf of the Israeli government, I'm happy to welcome you, Secretary General of the OECD, Matthias Korman, and your very distinguished delegation. Israel's economy is on a good track. We're recovering from the latest COVID wave remarkably well, with rapid growth, as you're well aware of. This has to do with our decision to keep Israel's economy open throughout the 4th and 5th wave while diligently fighting the virus. So we're not on any extreme. We know the virus is much more than just flu, but on the other hand, we're not in hysteria that we need to close everything. We formed our model, which is many small actions to allow the economy and the conditions for parents to go to work, for children to go to school, for shops to remain open, and for life to go on. The result of all of these actions is remarkable growth that we were talking about last night. Israel's got several growth engines. First and foremost, our fantastic high-tech sector, but also our decision to release tens of thousands of young Haredi men into the workforce, and we're going to have to embrace them, and that'll be a huge engine because these folks are really smart, and when they are injected into the high-tech sector and others, we're going to see a big boost. The new bridges we're building in the region, with the Emirates and others, I see this as another engine. A further engine is integrating the Arab sector, the young Arab men and women, into Israel's economy. By and large, the trajectory is good. It's taking time, but it's good. We're seeing modernization, better education, but we've got a long way to go. If I were an investor, I would definitely invest in Israel. But we also have a fair share of challenges. We've got to reform the stagnant parts of our economy, and we need to increase competition. We don't have enough domestic competition, and that's something that's always tough because there's always a good reason why you need to slow down on that. And we need to have the courage to take these actions. This is a very unique government. It's no secret that we're a coalition of of 8 different parties, the most diverse coalition in Israel's history, and we're darn proud of it. We've got religious and secular. We've got Jews and Arabs. We've got right and left. And in a very polarized world today, where you see other countries that are paralyzed because of this polarization, Israel is showing an example of how folks with very different ideas here around this table can get together to build a much better future for Israel while working through the disagreements. I'm looking very much forward to our discussions with your distinguished group and yourself, and I'm sure it's going to be a very successful visit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, Ministers. It's a real pleasure to be here in Jerusalem today. This is my first visit as Secretary General to Israel, and we have a pretty extensive program. Meeting with the Prime Minister, Ministers, the Cabinet. I'll be meeting the Central Bank Governor later today and President Herzog tomorrow, and a whole range of other stakeholders. And that just is a demonstration of the importance of Israel to the OECD and indeed the importance of Israel to the global economy. I'm very grateful for the warm welcome, Prime Minister, of you and your government, and I look forward to a productive visit. Since Israel joined the OECD in 2010, our partnership has gone from strength to strength. We've been working on many policy areas closely together. We've been inspired by Israel in particular when it comes to innovation, digital security and water governance, and there are other areas, many other policy areas that we've worked on together, on broader economic reform, education, tax policy, to name just a few, but a few. In recent decades, Israel has done very well. As a result of ongoing structural reforms, effective macroeconomic management, the economy in Israel has made remarkable progress. And Israel has also shown great resilience in the context of the unprecedented COVID-19 shock, with GDP now surpassing its pre-crisis level in the second quarter of 2021, which was a very good outcome indeed. And Israel's successful COVID-19 management has been one of the world's most advanced and flexible, keeping Israel fully open through the 4th and 5th waves, and has been an inspiration to other countries the way Israel has managed this. The labour market is recovering swiftly, with last month's unemployment rate already close to pre-pandemic levels. We expect Israel's robust economic recovery to continue for this year and next. However, there are, of course, still some downside risks, such as new variants of the virus or a more persistent increase in inflation. We believe it's important that monetary and fiscal policy remains flexible to be able to adapt to changing circumstances, and that now the task really is to work on optimizing the strength and the quality of the recovery moving forward. In that context, the Prime Minister and I last night had the opportunity to discuss the benefit of a return to political stability, with the government having been able to pass the budget as a very important foundation for Israel's stronger economic outlook moving forward. But also looking forward, and the Prime Minister has just touched on this, Israel's reform effort, we believe, should include a focus on broader productivity growth, also beyond the high-performing high-tech sector, tackling socio-economic gaps along the way, and of course also accelerating the digital and green transformations in the economy more broadly. Some of the structural challenges facing Israel are linked to its two-speed economy and the need to bridge associated socio-economic gaps to foster economic performance. And in that context, the remarkable productivity of Israel's vibrant high-tech sector stands in stark contrast to the lower productivity levels in more traditional lagging sectors, which actually employ most of the workforce in Israel. This continues to lead to slower gains in aggregate productivity, which Israel could achieve based on its, compared to the productivity growth that Israel could achieve based on its undoubted potential. So, Prime Minister, we believe, the OECD's assessment is that if Israel were to reduce its level of bureaucracy and over-regulation in some of those sectors that has accumulated throughout the years, that would certainly help boost competition and help boost performance and help lower prices moving forward. And these are the sorts of issues that I look forward with my colleagues to discuss during the meeting today.